It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caligione. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whatever you're listening, whatever you're watching, I hope you're doing okay. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simons for an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by our app. That's right. You want to watch our show on Fight TV? You want to watch it on your cell phone? You want to watch it on your tablet? You want to watch it on any handheld device? Well, then download our app. It's for free. Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the download the app for free button, and you'll get it. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can get a copy of this right now while you're watching or listening to the show. Just visit barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Hey, listen, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is a great Christmas gift. It fits right in the stocking, man. So if you're looking to get a signed copy for that special person you want to give it to, visit our website, billycboxing.com. Click on the book and follow the directions. You looking to get more than one copy? Hey, I'll hook you up with a better deal. Email me directly, billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Another thing I wanted to bring to everyone's attention, you had heard Sal and I discuss over the last, I'd say the last couple of months anyway, about our new show. It's a boxing series. It's called Billy C's Boxing Revisited, and it's been official. You will be able to watch the first episodes that we filmed beginning at the end of this month, or I'm sorry, beginning the middle of next month, December. I already thought it was December, and through January. Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and on the right-hand side, you'll see the television networks that will be airing Billy C's Boxing Revisited. On the right-hand side, click it for the program times and days, and look forward to a whole nother series of these Revisited that Sal and I are going to be doing. So real excited about that new series, and I think you guys are going to like that immensely. That's all I'm going to say, immensely. This week, programming note, we will not be doing a live show on Thursday, but we should and are scheduled to be here the rest of the week. We got some fights to talk about. The return of Sergey Kovalev. The return, in a sense, Yuriorkis Gamboa. We'll talk about that. Also, some other fights. But the big news today, which does not shock me one little bit, is Floyd Mayweather coming back. Yeah, he's going to be like the Freddy Krueger that never dies, right? Well, one more time, just one more time. I'm in great shape, because of his ego. He's never going to want to go away until somebody just literally kicks his ass. But here's the thing. Floyd, doing what Floyd has done for at least the last decade, cherry picking and picking fighters to fight that really don't stand a chance at him, even as his skills are diminishing and his age is increasing. It's not going to happen. You're not going to see, that typical sign of greatness where some great fighter fights a young fighter, excuse me, to prove that he's still got it and wins or loses. Floyd fighting one more time against who, you might ask? How about a rematch with Conor McGregor? I don't know who would even want to be interested in this, but joining me right now to get his thoughts, my man Sal, Rocky, Cenicola. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor 2. What's your thoughts?
No, I want to turn. Why don't you get your managerial contract back? Let's go after that fight.
I mean, really, who would give two craps about this fight? I mean, listen, Sal. The truth of the matter is that we all thought it was a scam.
To begin with,
that Conor McGregor, who had never fought a professional fight, be allowed to fight Floyd as a real legitimate fight and get his 50th win. Well, now, maybe, and we were just talking about this last week, maybe the fact that we all knew that Floyd carried him for the first couple of rounds, maybe it was laying the foundation for a rematch. And it would be his 51st fight, by the way. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, give me your honest opinion thoughts. Would you even want to see it? Do you think other fans are going to want to see it? Do you think it's as much of a joke as I do? What's your thoughts?
It's an absolute joke. And let me tell you something. I am shocked that he would go that low to actually think fans aren't as smart or that smart enough to even choose to say, hey, why do I even want to watch this fight? It has no significance, number one. Number two, Conor McGregor did not even make this fight competitive. Floyd did what Floyd usually does. He gives the first 1, 2, 3 rounds so he can assess and see what he's got to do. He carried Conor McGregor till the end. And you know what? You couldn't see that. And McGregor couldn't deliver a punch from a Hawaiian punch. I mean, he was throwing arm punches, and it wasn't even a real fight to begin with. You and I have always stood on that ground, and let me tell you something. What a mockery! What an insult! What a declaration on Mr. Mayweather's part if he thinks he can sell this second fight rematch. And no way. You know what, Bill? I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, here's the joke.
It's appalling. It really is.
Well, here's the joke of it. The MMA fans will buy it because a lot of them. Hey, Sal, listen. We did an event for this fight, and it was at your place, and I was shocked at how many people showed up that were actually rooting for Conor McGregor. As a matter of fact, one of your guys was lost a ton of money in there.
Yeah, he did.
And the other one won it all. But he was.
Well, the one guy told me he said, "Sal, who's going to win?" I told him why, and I bet on Mayweather, and he cleaned up.
He cleaned up. But the thing is that the other guy was actually depressed. He was
depressed. He's still depressed.
Disappointed. And the truth of the matter is that. Anybody that knows the sport of boxing, and I mean, put everything else aside, if you know the sport of boxing and what it takes to be a fighter and everything else, in boxing, not MMA, boxing, nobody should have given Conor McGregor a shot in hell. And the worst part about it was that the Nevada State Athletic Commission and that gutless, spineless piece of garbage, Bob Bennett, you remember him, approving the fight, by a pro debut fighting a guy arguably one of the top fighters of his generation in Floyd Mayweather. I mean, one more fight. And now maybe this makes perfect sense why all of a sudden, Oscar De La Hoya was saying he would fight him. I mean, it turns out, listen, if somebody's going to email me and tell me, it's the money, yeah, I get it. It's the money. But since when are we going to start, showing some respect for the sport of boxing? Because to me, Sal, This shows absolutely zero respect for the sport of boxing, especially on Floyd Mayweather's part, a guy who has made buku dollars from the sport of boxing. And I'm not criticizing him in terms of what he put into it, because he certainly is always in good shape. And if he wasn't in good shape, that's really the reason they're saying that he's coming back now, because he's been really going all out in the gym. He's been training like he's ready for a fight. And lots of rumors that the 51st fight will be a rematch with Conor McGregor. I mean, when is that man, if you want to call him a man, because remember, he beats up kids and women, and I say kids, 19-year-old security guards. When is that guy, I don't even want to call him a man, when's that guy going to respect the sport of boxing?
It's a good question, Bill. And I'm sure he in his mind, he does respect the sport of boxing. You know, at our last event, which happened to be the Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor bizarre escapade, you know, I remember when we had down some of our friends, Ray Mercer, Marlon Starling, and Bobby Ches. You know, we had our beautiful event, which people are still talking about today, and we can't wait to do another one. And I remember when we all had a chance, including myself and you, we got up to the microphone in front of a great audience at Sea Palms Resort. And when Bobby Ches got up, Bobby was solemn, and he was honest, brutally honest about his evolution, his introduction, and his becoming a fighter. And Bobby said some words that I'm sure a lot of people will remember today, including you and I. When he said that he wanted to be a champion, he wanted to do what was going to never be taken away from him. He wanted a world title. He wanted his name forever ingrained in the annals of boxing history as a world champion. And I'll tell you what, his passion, his heart, and his belief in himself carried him, and his physical attributes carried him to that. And but that was one of the drivers, because to fighters, being remembered as that top of the mountain world champion, or giving it your all, or doing what you got to do to challenge yourself and rise to the occasion and beat whoever's the baddest man on the planet at the time to fight. That's what the boxing tradition, that's what the boxing heritage, and that's what the boxing evolution has always given the fight fans. And this is not even in the same category. And I'm appalled by the whole idea, let alone the likelihood that, yeah, you know what, it could come off, because there's going to be gullible fans on all sides of the aisle, but mostly the MMA. They're going to want to see this.
Yeah, it's a shame. And, one of my pet peeves with Mayweather has always been, his unwillingness to pass the baton, so to speak, whenever somebody else starts getting their name in the press. He wants to come out and do it. And let's be 100% fair. Oscar De La Hoya wanted Conor McGregor. Manny Pacquiao the other day, I think it was Friday, called out Conor McGregor. I mean, listen, it's not just Floyd. The thing about Floyd that bothers me is that Floyd says he's the best ever. That's the only part of it that separates Floyd from everyone else trying to make a quick $100 million, which I'm not going to be. Listen, if I had I'd be lying, Sal, and I know you would be too, if you said that you had an opportunity to make $100 million as easy as, taking a dump, because that's what it's as easy as that for Floyd. I mean, I would do it too. I'd be lying if I wouldn't, if I said I wouldn't. But the truth of the matter is, you get to a point where, you have to respect the business you're in. Every other business does. You don't see scientists or lawyers or even police officers, really dissing their own industry, as much as it seems that the fighters in the sport of boxing does. And it's a shame. And, it's not only Floyd, but Floyd, the guy who says he's the best ever, and you look at the last 3 fights he's had, and you say to yourself, if this goes through, 2 against McGregor, 1 against Andre Berto, you say to yourself, how could a guy claim he's the best ever when he's really not, in my opinion, hasn't proven it in the ring. He really hasn't. At least for the last decade, he hasn't. I would be way more respectful of Floyd if he called out an Errol Spence or a Keith Thurman or somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he loses, he rises on my all-time great list. But to fight McGregor again, this is suggesting that every fan that purchases that fight and every fan who had purchased the first one is a complete idiot, because you're not going to get anything different. As a matter of fact, you're going to get a beatdown quicker in the second one, because it's certainly not going to justify a third. I don't know. I'm shocked that we're even talking about it. To tell you the truth.
You know what? I was just going to say, Bill, we're already into a 15-minute segment on this, and it's amazing how we are talking about it, because that's what. Hey, what I always say, Bill. Not only does the media report news, but they stimulate and create it, and now we're driving the news. And you know what? What a nice slap in the face to Conor McGregor. You have all these old fighters that want to fight him before the payday because they know they can kick his butt, and he has no right to even be in a boxing ring.
Yeah, but here's the thing: how do we blame Conor McGregor when he can turn around and make $100 million? I mean, and I'm not going to.
In all due respect,
I'm not going to blame these guys for easy paydays. That's not my problem here. My problem here is that we're using the sport of boxing as the circus tent. And, here we are, especially this particular show, my show here with you, we are trying to take boxing and bring it back, or at least satisfy the handful of diehard fans that still exist about the sport and its integrity and the seriousness of it, etc., etc. We are trying to make the sport better, and every time you take two steps forward, I mean, listen, it would be hard to argue that 2017 was one of the best years in the last couple of decades in the sport of boxing. Why would we want to take that positivity, where we're heading in somewhat in the direction that we want it to, and take these steps back with this? I mean, if it's being promoted as an exhibition, if it's being promoted as a WWE event, we're not having this conversation. But to promote it as a boxing match about between a guy who is arguably one of the best of his generation against a guy who would be stepping in the ring for the second time in a boxing ring, I just don't get it. I don't get how the powers that be can crap on the sport of boxing the way they appear to be doing, Sal.
No, and that's the whole thing. It's the integrity of the game and the history of the game that we want to hold dear and want to hold on to and want to promote and want to stimulate. It's like, like we often said, the old trainers that were in the gym, every time a fighter would thank them, saying, hey, that was great. Thanks for helping me with that. Thanks for doing this. They'd say, hey, just do me a favor, repeat it, show that to somebody one day. They knew what was happening with the sport of boxing. They knew that it had a tradition and a legacy to pass down to other fighters. They knew that this was the only way that it was going to be continued on a level that of the integrity and the eliteness of having to be the best of the best in a squared circle. And it's a shame, because this is a slap in the face to all the champions, all the years, all the hard work, and all the decades of fighters that have come before, during, and going to be afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's what's bothering me about this discussion, and it's it is just that. It's a discussion. It's the feelers are putting out. They're trying to light the fuse, so to speak, and you're going to get a lot of people from the MMA world wanting to give it another shot, etc., etc. People are going to say, well, Floyd's aged a bit. He's slowed down a little more. I mean, all the negative things that you could come up with. But like I said, Floyd really has nothing left to prove to anybody. If he wants to get a big payday, then why not do it without dragging the sport of boxing in the mire? Why not just go to And if he truly wants a rematch to collect the money, which it still will be a big money fight, do it as an exhibition. Don't destroy the integrity of the sport, and especially the gains that the sport of pro boxing has made over this last year, with even suggesting that a rematch with Conor McGregor takes place. Now, if they were talking about a rematch in the MMA arena, that's a different animal. That's a different animal. But, obviously, everything in Floyd's favor. I think my issue, whether it happens or not, I really don't care. But my issue is the fact that he's ruining the integrity of the sport, or at least adding to the lack of integrity of the sport of boxing. I think that's what bothers me the most, Sal.
And I will say this too. I know how it agitates you, and it agitates myself as well. Maybe this is the marination process that he's trying to throw on all of us. And here's the fight that really could evolve from this. As much as I swore the night of the fight that we saw Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather fight, and I swore I would never pay for a rematch to watch that fight again, because I still feel in my heart of hearts, out of 100 times they fought, Mayweather will beat Manny Pacquiao 95 of those 100 times. Maybe they could springboard, because nobody really had an interest in seeing it after all this time, and Manny losing his last fight and everything else. Maybe they can turn it around and say, hey, you know what? I will fight Manny Pacquiao now, and we'll promote that. I would almost pay for that. Well, I would pay for that. And that would be good. Even though I do know the outcome, Floyd Mayweather will beat Manny Pacquiao. But at least we'll have a boxing arena. We'll have a boxing sanctioned bout that we can live with. And it would solve all the answers we're looking for, and leave it in MMA. You know what? If Floyd Mayweather gets in a ring again with Conor McGregor, let Floyd Mayweather do it in the MMA arena, and let them do it there. And I'll tell you what, my money will go on Conor McGregor then.
No doubt. And I'm with you. I mean, both Floyd and Manny are well past their prime. Neither should be fighting again.
No.
But I do think that at least if they fought each other, it would be somewhat fair. And I do think that there's plenty of people that would buy that fight. Do they make $100 million each? I don't know. Maybe not at this stage. But yeah, if he's going to fight, I mean, that's a safer fight for him, and it's a more realistic fight. I mean, safer. There's nothing safer than Floyd against McGregor. But I mean, it's a safer fight for him, and I couldn't complain the way I am.
No, I wouldn't.
But anyway, hey, listen, hold that thought. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Sergey Kovalev returned to the ring this Saturday, and then there's some other stuff too, especially in the WBA. Can the WBA sleep at night? I don't know. If I was involved with them, I certainly couldn't. I'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Stop. Living with hair loss, that is. Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope.
Getting my hair back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm happy with the way I look now.
I'm very excited about my hair.
I feel beautiful.
I love my hair.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions backed by our commitment to satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with the solution you choose, Hair Club will apply the purchase price to another proven hair loss solution or transplant more hair at no charge.
That was the best thing I've ever done.
It looks good on me.
Call in the next 5 minutes to get your free brochure at no obligation. It will tell you everything you need to know about your hair loss problem, and it's free if you call now.
I am more pleased than what I had even imagined.
I at least look, I would say, 5 years younger.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
I feel great.
And that's not all. The first 100 people who call will also receive $250 off any hair loss solution from Hair Club. Call now.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget, check out our website, BillyCBoxing.com. And on the right-hand side, you'll see some banners for some television networks that our new show, Billy C's Boxing Revisited, will be airing on. So get over to those sites and do a search on Billy C's Boxing Revisited and check out the dates and times and locations and where you can watch it and all that stuff, because I think you guys are going to love our new series, which we're excited about. I'm here with Sal Rocky Cenicola, and Sal, on Saturday, HBO broadcast the return of Sergey Kovalev. Now, I had some hang-ups with this fight from the get-go. Number one, Sergey Kovalev coming off of not one but two losses. Many people believe that the fight with the first fight with Andre Ward was people using the word robbery. But then the second fight, Ward clearly won, causing Kovalev to quit. So my first hang-up was the fact that the WBO let this fight be for a world title, even though one fighter was coming off of back-to-back losses. Be as it may, it was against the same guy, but still. The second thing was Shabransky. No disrespect to Shabransky. I know he went into this fight with only one loss, but this guy clearly wasn't in a position to fight Sergey Kovalev. And while we're at it, Kovalev improved to 31 wins, 2 losses, and a draw when he knocked out Shabransky. It was at least waved off by referee Harvey Dock in the second round, 2 minutes and 36 seconds. I can't say I was impressed. I can't say I wasn't impressed. I just can't help, and I know you're going to agree with me on this, but I can't help looking at Kovalev and seeing a quitter. And I've lost a lot of respect for him. What's your thoughts on the performance and the fight?
Well, you were hinting about how you and I felt that he did quit in the last Andre Ward fight, and he did. He got hit in the belly. He was looking for the referee to stop. He didn't object to the stoppage. He didn't act like he wanted to continue. He was looking for a way out early, and in my opinion, And then yesterday, all of a sudden, he was referring to the controversial stoppage that he felt was unjust because he wanted to continue that fight. I got hints of that. But no, I still have questions about Kovalev and his heart and his desire. Did he destroy Shabransky? Yes, he did. It was world class versus, up and rising maybe, but it was a whole different playing field. And he did his traditional jab right through with a right hand and hurt him early, as we know. The fight never made it past the second round. Good for Sergey, and I'm glad he did. But I still have my doubts about him. I lost a lot of respect for him with that Andre Ward fight, and going to have to do an awful lot to get my attention back.
Andre Ward is a boxer. I think he's, at this point, I hate to say it, but I'm not going to say it. But the truth of the matter is Kovalev, if you stand in front of him and you try to trade with him, chances are he's going to come out on top. And that's exactly what Shabransky did. Anybody that has any kind of movement or even tried to work the body. One of the things that Shabransky had said leading up to this fight was that he thinks that Kovalev's weak to the body and was going to work the body. I didn't see. Maybe he threw one or two body shots. I didn't see any land flush. So I was disappointed in his showing. Kovalev after the fight said, "I'm back." He says, "I did it and worked very hard to get to the champion status again. My brain, my mentality, my conditioning, my body, I'm back. It's my goal to be the best in this division. I'm here. I love this sport. I love to make great fights. This is what makes boxing interesting. We can make good fights for the boxing fans, and let's make history. Let's find out who's the best. Chickenson is on my list. This is very good for boxing. Let's do it." Quite honestly, it's the only fight that I think could sell. But then again, Adonis Stevenson, who Kovalev refers to as Chickenson, he doesn't fight anybody. He is a Chickenson, and he's a fraud at this point. And, it's unfortunate that the commentators were building up the light heavyweight division for being so tough. You see Bivol. He's a guy that could arguably be the best in the division, and he's not even that great. I mean, he's possesses punching power. I haven't seen much else from him. This guy that Shabransky that fought Kovalev went the distance with him, as I recall. So I don't know what to think of the light heavyweight division. I wasn't impressed with Shabransky, so how can I be impressed with the win by Kovalev? And I'm equally as disappointed with the WBO for sanctioning this fight as a world title. It goes to show you that all you need is a checkbook that actually has money in it, and you could be a title holder, Sal.
Yes, but it also says this. There's too many belts. Too many belts. If there was one coveted belt, do you think Kovalev would have gotten a chance at the World Championship? If there was one belt? No, not after two defeats. Nobody would want to see that. No. So there's too many belts out there.
No, I mean, in all due respect, you have Andre Ward collected the belts, and he retires.
Yes, he
did. So what should have happened with all of the sanctioning bodies, they should have put number one, and it's already split and shattered anyway, but just for argument's sake, all of the sanctioning bodies should put their number one against their number two for the vacated belt. End of story.
Bingo.
End of story.
End of story, Bill.
I mean, then there's and then there's no argument.
No argument,
how does Kovalev, if you're going to tell me, and I don't even look, to be honest, I got to be 100% honest, I don't even look at the rankings by the sanctioning bodies anymore because they're so much of a joke. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. Because the WBA, I don't know how they sleep at night with what they call championship fights and everything else. But Kovalev very well could have been ranked number one by the WBO, which is a joke in itself. I mean, how do you rank a guy number one when he lost back-to-back fights, regardless of who he lost them to? You have to drop a certain number of spots for losing, and I don't care who you fight. I mean, do you agree with that?
I agree with you 100%. You know what? If you have consecutive losses, you should probably drop one or two rings of the ladder. And I still can't conceive how, why, where, when they made Kovalev. Well, I know why, I know how, and I know when. They made Kovalev the #1 ranked contender to vie for a world championship title, though.
Right. But anyway, I mean, did Kovalev show you anything that makes you interested to see him again?
No, I mean, you know what? All I could say is that was, I thought, when I was watching the fight, that's the Kovalev I expected to see come out against Andre Ward. Now, not taken away from Andre Ward. I mean, it depends on your dance partner. And obviously, Kovalev had more respect for Andre Ward than he did for Shabransky. And he knew that Shabransky was a kind of a come right at you fighter, and you don't have to look for him. You throw the left, you throw the right, and you're going to hit him. And so he did. So he made an early night, and maybe answered some questions, but I still have a lot more questions that I'd like to see. It is what it is, Bill. I was just surprised to see, but he did a good job. He got the fight over with, and kudos to him. He's back in the mix, and he's a world title holder. So we'll see what the light heavyweight division does now.
Well, the co-main event, which featured Sullivan Barrera, he won a unanimous decision over Felix Valera, which was pretty hard to follow. Every time they said Barrera, Valera, like, who are they talking about? It's Valera's mother, it's Barrera's father, it's like whatever. But it was kind of an interesting fight. I thought that Valera did a good job against Barrera, and I thought that Barrera showed that he's really not as special. At the end of the day, Barrera won a unanimous decision, and I give kudos for Valera, because I would have expected him to it looked like he was out of gas, and I could have seen him saying, let me just hit him below the belt one more time, and Ortega disqualifying him. But he ended up going the distance. Not that he thought he was going to win, but I think he wanted to prove that he could go the distance, and he did. Barrera improved to 21-1 with 14 knockouts. Valera drops to 15-2. The judges scored at 98-88, 97-90, 97-89, which, according to the powers that be, Sullivan Barrera now is the mandatory for Kovalev, which just drags it out, because the only other fighter, if Kovalev really wants to say that he's the best in the division, the only other fighter I'd want to see him fight is Bivol at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to see the Bivol fight. Not taken away from Barrera. I love his story. I love that he is a champion with heart, or a fighter with heart. But I don't see him getting past Kovalev because of Kovalev's power and ability to hit him.
Who, Bivol or Barrera?
No, Barrera. Yeah. I don't see Barrera getting past Kovalev.
Yeah, Barrera's been down, and although he doesn't seem to get really hurt, he gets back up. But then again, Barrera is a Cuban fighter, and you would have to assume can box a little bit, and that's been the Achilles heel for Sergey Kovalev. Hold that thought. I got one more fight I want to be vocal about. And that's coming up. I can only imagine. That's coming up. Well, no, I got a couple more, but on this card. That's coming up in 2, so don't go nowhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the first American home warranty plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money.
It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for people who had a hip replacement and then had to have additional surgery as the result of a faulty hip implant or were diagnosed with high levels of metal in the blood, known as metallosis. You may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you have been diagnosed with high levels of metal in your blood or have required more surgery because of hip implant failure, call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by. This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And, we were just talking about the HBO broadcast of Kovalev and the co-main event, which was Sullivan Barrera fighting for the mandatory WBO title shot, which is now the title that Kovalev holds. Bivol would be a unification of sorts, so there's no mandatory for Bivol, unlike what's being said in the chat room right now. But the truth of the matter is I want to focus on the fight that opened up the HBO broadcast, and that's my guy. And I still say this, even though he's a shell of himself. But my guy, Yuriorkis Gamboa, fought former WBA super featherweight champ Jason Sosa. And, if you watch that fight with the sound on and you listen to my man Harold Letterman's scorecard and you listen to the commentating, you would have thought that Gamboa had no chance of winning this fight. And their new apparatus that showed a motion detector and who's moving forward. And I loved Harold Letterman saying, well, if one was 44% and the other's 14%, where's the rest? Who's moving around the rest of the time? Which was true. But here's the thing. Gamboa, I thought, was landing more punches from a boxing point of view. I just want to make one statement, Sal, before I throw it up to you. At the end of the fight, Gamboa won the fight 95-93, 96-92, 94-94, 96-92, which was a crazy score. But the reason why it was crazy was because of two situations that took place in the fight. One, referee Ron Lipton ruled a knockdown when, his gloves did touch, but his own feet tangled him up. But what really bothered me was the point that Ron took away in the final round for holding. Now, I just want to say this. I thought Ron Lipton did a fantastic job refereeing that fight. He stayed out of the camera view. He wasn't trying to be the star of the fight, which we see way too often today in the sport. But I totally disagree with my man Ron about the point deduction, and I'll tell you why. First of all, he was very adamant and warning Gamboa about holding. But Gamboa wasn't holding the way fighters hold when you want to warn them. That was his form of defense. He would clinch. If I was Ron, I would have said, fight your way out. You know, you only warn a fighter and you break a fighter when they're both holding each other and there is no fighting out of the clinch, which used to be termed infighting. At the end of the fight, the final round, even after Gamboa was not even holding as much, they both were kind of just wrapping each other's arms around. Ron took a point away. I thought that was a huge mistake, and I really disagreed with that, and I can't wait to hear Larry's thoughts on it. Aside from that, the performance that Ron did, I thought, was a good one, comparing him to the other referees. But in my mind, Gamboa won the fight, and I think that the lack of defense from Jason Sosa, not his offense, but his lack of defense, is what cost him the fight. Sal, what was your thoughts on that fight and that point deduction at the end that I'm kind of uptight over?
Yeah, I could see your point with the point deduction. Even if you gave that round to, or a draw to Gamboa, it's a 10-9 round easy with the point taken away. I thought it was more in Sosa's favor on some levels. I thought that he had done a good job closing the fight in the later rounds. I think that Gamboa did give a good performance. Then there was some infighting here and there. Overall, it was a decent fight. You saw the heart of a Sosa from New Jersey, trying to really get a big win over a big name. And Gamboa, I think, did a good job as well. But I gave the fight to Sosa.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a close fight. It was a close fight.
All I could say is try and watch the fight without the sound, and see if you score it the same way. I will. You know what I mean? That's all. That's all. Because they were very, the commentators and the way they present it is like it's almost Teddy Atlas-esque. Where they're right and you're wrong, and if you're not seeing what they're seeing, you don't know what you're looking at, and that's my problem. That's my problem with some of the comments. Yes, Sal, you have a comment to make.
I'm sorry, you just lit a bulb in my head. I usually like to listen to what Max Kellerman has to say, but during the Barrera and Valera and Barrera fight, I could not help. I was amused, entertained, but I also couldn't stand listening to Max Kellerman anymore. When he was talking about the holding and everything else, and how he was trying to make reference of the referee interfering with the better product, as he would call a fight, the better product. You get a better product if you get an early warning about holding, so the fighters will know going forward. And Roy Jones was countering what he had to say, but Max had to throw it in every time to try and win the point. But Roy would just throw it. Hey man, it holds a hold, and it was just comical. I found it comical that Max Kellerman continually had to insert his theory, his definition, and his ideas on the theory on holding and what it was about. I don't know if you caught that, but
of course. But Roy was. I don't normally agree with him, but
no, Roy was right. Roy was right. That's what I'm saying. Max was trying to take something that was black and white and make it multicolored, and Roy said, "Hey, Max, no, this is what's happening," and he couldn't do it.
And he said, and that was the whole point, was that he said, "Hey, listen, it's part of the defensive game plan. He says you go in and you tie your opponent up, and I agree with that. There's a difference between doing that and holding extensively, and the truth of the matter is, as long as there's one free hand, you should let the fighters fight out. I liked the job Ron Lipton did by taking command and warning, but I thought that he started nitpicking. I thought he started taking it personal that Gamboa wasn't listening to him. And Ron, of all people, should remember that Gamboa doesn't even understand English. He was actually part of our show when we did the interview with Gamboa, when he first escaped here to the U.S. through an interpreter. I'm pretty sure Ron was involved with that particular show. So, I mean, he knows that this guy does not understand. He very well may not have understood, although his own corner said, stop holding, you're going to get a point deducted. I just thought that it came at the wrong time. Round 10 of a close fight is not the time to do the call. And for that matter, I personally don't think that the knockdown that was ruled a knockdown, even though both of his gloves ended up hitting the canvas, should have been a knockdown. I think that his own, and I do agree with some of the commentating when they said that Gamboa is imbalanced. He doesn't have a solid balance. And I agree with that. And I think that his athletic ability throughout the amateurs and then carried into the pros, nobody ever taught him defense. This was a guy whose defense was his offense. Now he's 35 years old. He's slowing down a bit. He's got a flash knockdown suspect chin. He's been down 100 million times, but gets up. I mean, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's the point. But anyway, it wasn't a bad fight. I know a lot of people think Jason Sosa should have won that fight, but I thought Gamboa outboxed him, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can continue with that. But the joke of the weekend, in my opinion, was the WBA. Once again, you mentioned the word joke, and the WBA is not far behind it or precedes the word joke, and this time it was for their WBA, and they say this with a straight face, the WBA regular heavyweight title, which was sad. Emmanuel Char, who has fought some tough names, but most of those tough names are part of his 4 losses, won a 12-round unanimous decision over Alexander Ustinov, who really, his 2 losses came at the hands of good opposition. In Germany, and I don't know if you saw the clip. I only watched clips of the fight. It looked like it was a real snooze fest. Both guys didn't look like they were in top physical condition, but Manuel Char is now the WBA regular heavyweight champion. He won this fight by scores of 115-111, 116-111, and 115-112. Now, here's the best part, Sal. He has to negotiate with Frezequendo, who hasn't stepped in the ring for over 3 years, to fight for the title. And a deal has to be made before December 22nd. Otherwise, the same fight between Char and Frezequendo will go to purse bid, where the purse is split 50-50. I don't know what to think of this. I really don't. What's your thoughts?
Well, again, we go back to the concept of what do we do with a fighter that's been inactive or out of the ring for a year or more, and how do you welcome him back? Do you give him a title fight? Do you give him a big, significant fight, or should he have to work his way up and reestablish his own worth and value? And I'm more for the latter, not the former. And that's the way it should be. But it is what it is. It's a wild world of boxing.
Yeah, it's a shame that the WBA does this. I mean, there was question about the fact if it was even going to be sanctioned for a title fight. It happened at the last minute, and they threw that stipulation over to Frezequendo's team because he had won a lawsuit about fighting for the title, going all the way back to when he lost to Shagayev in Russia. So I don't know, man. It's
payback. That's all.
It's pretty.
It's IOU.
It's a pretty comical situation. But one other fight I wanted to mention, and in my opinion, really shows the lack of value for the 49-0, or now I should say 50-0 record. We've talked about this a lot on this show, that 49-0 was a significant record for the heavyweight division only, because there had been no heavyweight fighter to ever amass 49 wins without a single defeat. And no one, made it to 49-0 and then lost afterwards. They had lost before reaching 49-0. The closest guy to reach 49-0 was Larry Holmes. He was 48-0 when he lost to Michael Spinks. Rocky Marciano retired at 49-0 as world heavyweight champion, and that's one of those records that was etched in stone. But Floyd Mayweather managed to smokescreen a new generation to believe that nobody else ever made it to 49-0, and therefore he tied Marciano's record, and then with his win over Conor McGregor broke the record and now sits at 50-0. When any true boxing fan knows that there was many fighters who surpassed 49-0 aside from the heavyweight division. Julio Cesar Chavez is one, and there's many others. But this weekend, in the minimum weight or strawweight division, the champion for the WBC, Wang Hang Miothin, improved to 49-0 with 17 knockouts when he won a 12-round decision over Tatsuya Fukuhara, who drops to 19-6 in Thailand. The way the judges scored that fight: 116-112, 118-110, 117-113. Wang Hang is now 49-0, one fight away from tying Floyd's 50-0 retired record. Am I suggesting that Wang Hang is equal to Floyd in talent? Will he be equal to Floyd in the large scope of things? No, he won't. But what I think this shows, and which I hope it proves to a lot of young fans, is that 49-0 only meant something in the heavyweight division. Go back and search the heavyweights who have ever fought and see who made it to 49-0. Only one guy. And see who made it to 48-0. Only one guy. So that's where the significance of 49-0 is. Wang Hang will probably end his career, because of the division he's in, fighting well beyond 50-0. And if you're going to tell me that the guy wasn't that good, and Fukuhara, who's 19-6 with 6 draws, you can only fight who's available. And unfortunately, in that weight class, there's not too many guys available. Sal, what's your thoughts?
You just hit it on the head. You hit all the great points, and you explained and rationalized and defined clearly what the significant meaning behind each of these records, so-called records. True answer. You only could dance with the dancers that are out there in the division at the time you went. Yes.
Exactly. You're right. That's who you compare him with. And you can't compare Mayweather to Marciano, because really the 49-0. Listen, Mayweather's Mayweather. Mayweather accomplished what he did. Let's leave the record out of it. Anyway,
credit for that.
We got I got a bunch of emails to read. I'm running out of time because we got Dax Khan scheduled to come up and chat with us for a little bit in about 9 minutes. But in the NFL, the Falcons beat the Bucs 34-20. The Bengals beat the Browns 30-16. The Titans beat the Colts 20-16. The Bills over the Chiefs 16-10. The Patriots, they beat the Dolphins 35-17. The Panthers beat the Jets. Once again, the Jets have the ability to snatch victory from their own hands. A gutless team coached by a gutless coach who I don't know who's calling the plays. I don't know who's preparing this team. They are the most undisciplined team in the NFL, but the Panthers come back to snuff out the Jets' playoff hopes, 35-27. The Eagles beat the Bears 31-3. Seahawks over the 49ers 24-13. The Raiders beat the Broncos 21-14. The Rams and the Saints, what an exciting game that was. 26-20, the Rams come out on top. Cardinals topped the Jaguars 27-24. And the Steelers beat the Packers 31-28. In the NBA, the Heat beat the Bulls 100-93. The Timberwolves beat the Suns 119-108. And my Nets finally get a W. They beat the Grizzlies 98-88. In the National Hockey League, the Hurricanes topped the Predators in a shootout 4-3. The Rangers beat the Canucks in a shootout, same score, 4-3. And the Oilers topped the Bruins 4-2. I got an email, a couple of them from my man Mitch. He's talking about Frank D'Alba. He says, Frank's a decent fighter. He was the main event on a card last week in PA. He didn't fight because of the weigh-in. His opponent, Ivan Najira, came in 15 pounds overweight. He says, Sal, did you ever enter a fight knowing you might not make the weight? And if not, do you think the guy should come to the table a few days before and try to renegotiate? Because if a guy is 15 pounds over, that means he absolutely knew he wasn't going to make weight. To have the audacity to still try and weigh in, is ridiculous. Should he be suspended for not notifying someone sooner? What's your thoughts on all of that, Sal?
Yeah, I agree. You know what? Like I said, and I hate to be redundant, but the bottom line is, out of every wrestling match I ever had from 14 years of age, from every fight, amateur to professional, no matter what, if there was a weight class limit, I was sure I never failed to make weight. And neither should any paid professional. And to be so disrespectful and blatant about, hey, you're going to show up 15 pounds overweight. I mean, that's a slap in the face, no pun intended. I mean, that's incredible. He should be fined. He should be suspended. And if you're signing a contract to make a weight to do something, hey, push away from the table, drink a little less fluids, make the weight, and then do what you got to do. But that's a slap in the face, Bill. This guy should be fined, suspended, whatever it is. 15 pounds overweight, and he knew this going in a week or two before? No, it's inexcusable. And it's a lack of discipline, and it should not be allowed or tolerated.
I think Mitch is right. I think that you know you guys not going to make it. Do you reach out ahead of time and try to renegotiate to save the fight? And should he be suspended? I think maybe if fighters started to face a potential suspension because they don't make weight, I think that's something to consider, and that's something I want to ask Larry about right now. If a fighter doesn't make weight, should they be subject to a suspension? I think that's a good idea because this would. I think it would encourage fighters to not only make weight, but fight maybe in the right weight class. There's a lot of fighters that are trying to make weight that have every intention of making weight, but their bodies just can't do it. I think that's a really good question for that. But good email from Chip.
Good email.
He's also got a couple of emails on something I want to talk about. I'm just glancing here. My man Mitch, you have two other emails here that we're going to read tomorrow. I'm going to jump ahead to another one from Johnston. He says, hey, Billy and Sal, I recently read an article that got me thinking about what would be the ultimate boxing card. So if you were a promoter in possession of a reliable time machine, what bouts would you put together? Maybe Alex could put one together for us. It's my birthday today, so just amuse me. Well, happy birthday to my man Johnston. I don't know if he's in the chat room. I didn't see him. But he says, here's my dream fights. He says, 1, Dempsey versus Rocky Marciano, an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. This would be a brutal fight with 87 knockouts from 103 wins between the two of them. Jimmy Wild against Roman Gonzalez in flyweight. I think the Welshman would have too much for Chocolatito, but it would be fun while it lasted. Sugar Ray Robinson versus Sugar Ray Leonard at welterweight. So much sugar it would make us diabetics. Cloning the phrase from Jake LaMotta. What a fight this would be. I still think Robinson would come through in a world-class matchup. Duran against Julio Cesar Chavez at lightweight. This would be a true test of wills, and I couldn't see a knockout or even a knockdown. Just two of boxing's most intelligent fighters at work. And Ali versus Mike Tyson. This would be the Ali that destroyed Cleveland Williams against a young Tyson that cut everyone to shreds. Puncher versus boxer, strength versus skill. What do you guys think? What would you add or change? I tell you one fight that I would definitely want to see once and for all would be Floyd Mayweather against Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, Floyd claims that he's the best ever. I think that Sugar Ray Robinson is clearly the best ever. What's your thoughts? Is there one that you would like to see?
Well, you just hit on the head. Well, I would love to see. I think Sugar Ray Robinson would knock out Floyd Mayweather. But I also feel that the fight that I would like to see at 135 pounds at the lightweight division, I would love to have seen the Roberto Duran, Julio Cesar Chavez fight. That would have been a great fight, number one. Number two, I still stand by my words, and I've always professed this. I think that Roberto Duran, pound for pound, as a lightweight only, was one of the greatest lightweights to ever step in the ring.
I agree. As a lightweight, that would be
as a lightweight.
Yeah, that would be a great
fight. I put him against anybody. I'd say he'll knock out Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, Roberto Duran was a vicious...
An animal. He had a nasty streak. We talk about the nasty streak. Duran wanted to destroy you.
Especially at lightweight. I agree with you. Just to put it in perspective, if you did have a time machine, I think fighters, people today, young people today, think that Floyd Mayweather is the best ever. Listen, I could name a bunch of fighters right now that would all kick the crap out of Floyd Mayweather, knocking him out, as a matter of fact. Sugar Ray Robinson and Sugar Ray Leonard would have beaten him. Tommy Hearns would have beaten him. I mean, come on. If he ever fought at middleweight, a Hagler would have destroyed him. I even think Roberto Duran would have beaten, Floyd Mayweather. So Floyd Mayweather doesn't even fit into the all-time great dream matchups. And while you're at it, I mean, there's other fighters too. Joe Gans is another one you can mix in there that probably would have beaten him senseless. What's that? What?
Hello, it's the name I turned out. I would think Carlos Palomino might even give Mayweather a good fight.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, listen. What about Henry Armstrong? Henry
Armstrong would destroy Mayweather.
Right.
He'd be a punching machine, moving all over the place, and he'd be nonstop, relentless. He would be what I thought Pacquiao was going to be. Only Henry Armstrong would be destroyed.
One other one I'd like to add, a dream matchup, would have been Marvin Hagler or even Carlos Monzon or even Triple G going up against Harry Greb. Harry Greb was a great middleweight, or even Harry Greb against Stanley Ketchel, another great one, or a Jack Johnson against an Ali, or a Jack Johnson against Mike Tyson. I mean, these are. I mean, listen, if we had like if we had like what Mitch said, a dream time machine, those are the fights I would want to see. And the funny thing is that we actually have a new segment coming on in 2018. I can't believe it's going to be 2018. That is going to take dream matchups. We're going to give you our breakdowns, how we thought they would go, and then Alex will be presenting them with title bouts. So look forward to that for next year. But listen, we got to take a short break. When we come back, we're scheduled to have Dax Khan join us, and we'll get his thoughts on what he thought about the Kovalev fight. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Stop living with hair loss, that is. Losing your hair is no fun, and no one wants to be bald, but there is hope.
Getting my hair back was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'm happy with the way I look now.
I'm very excited about my hair.
I feel beautiful.
I love my hair.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions backed by our commitment to satisfaction guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied with the solution you choose, Hair Club will apply the purchase price to another proven hair loss solution or transplant more hair at no charge.
That was the best thing I've ever done.
It looks good on me.
Call in the next 5 minutes to get your free brochure at no obligation. It will tell you everything you need to know about your hair loss problem, and it's free if you call now.
I am more pleased than what I had even imagined.
I at least look, I would say, 5 years younger.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
I feel great.
And that's not all. The first 100 people who call will also receive $250 off any hair loss solution from Hair Club. Call now.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you! I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. And our last emails got a lot of discussion going on in not only our official chat room up on BillyCBoxing.com, but on Facebook, because we do simulcast on Facebook. And some people have mentioned some great fighters, Joe Gans. Yeah, that's... Wait till we have our new segment where we're actually going to be, it's going to be myself and Sal and Dax and Alex will all be taking these dream matchups and breaking them down and giving you each of our predictions, and it will culminate to Alex Papali putting these two guys in title bout and giving us a round-by-round description of what the computer says would take place. So that's going to be a new segment that we introduce in 2018, so be looking for that. And speaking of Dax, joining us right now with his thoughts on the HBO card from Saturday night is Dax Khan. Good morning, Dax.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good morning, Dax.
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Kovalev What was your thoughts? or wait, do you want to wait? Do you want to start off with the other two fights first?
Let's start off with Kovalev because you're probably not going to like what I have to say about another fight. But anyway, with all the troubles he had, Shabransky was a perfect opponent for him. Not an elite fighter, but a dangerous fighter. He's aggressive. He has power. With the mindset of Kovalev and the way that the Ward losses bothered him, the question was, how was he going to react if Shabransky came after him? The fact that Kovalev lost by 1 point across the board in that first fight, and he was in the fight until that low blow and the body shots. Tony Weeks stopped it in the second one. He goes out, he's drinking, he has problems with John David Jackson. I don't think anybody doubted he was going to beat Shabransky. It was just more or less on how was he going to react if Shabransky came after him. Remember in that first round, Shabransky did land a nice solid punch that actually drove Kovalev back 3 or 4 steps, and Kovalev answered that well. Now that he got his personal life together, he brought in Abra Tursunpulov on, who trains Bakram Murazaliev, who's on promoted by Crusher Promotions. He was also on the undercard there. He scored a TKO over Carlos Gallivan. Again, it only went 2 rounds, so there's not much we can tell. But, the good thing is that Kovalev, he's made some personal adjustments, not only to his professional life, but his personal life. Whether or not, he's fully back to what they were billing as the Crusher era, we won't know until he gets a better opponent. But as of right now, it was a very good comeback fight, for him, and get a little bit of buzz going on. Because remember, prior to that, leading up to this, even the day before, there was not a lot of buzz. Nobody's really even talking about the fight.
No, I agree with that, and I also agree with your choice of words. I think that it was a great comeback fight. My hang-up with the fight was that it was for a world title, and I just can't see the justification with that. The thing is that I also think that Kovalev looked like Kovalev when he fights a guy who stands in front of him, who's willing to exchange with him. Shabransky, even though he hit the canvas, 97 times, kept still standing in front of him, and that's what Kovalev did. When he fought a guy like Andre Ward, who used a little bit of movement and stuff like that, he had trouble. So I don't know if that will ever be fixed. So, I guess you can make the statement that as long as you put the right guy in front of Kovalev, he looks good. If you put a guy that, has some boxing skill in terms of movement and being able to hit on the move, he's going to have trouble. But I guess time will tell.
And that's exactly what I stated. It was only 2 rounds. We can't tell. But one of the things that is important, which kind of tells you a lot, was the post-fight. Usually in those post-fight press conferences previously, Kovalev has been, sometimes he's been vulgar, cocky, arrogant, but, he seemed kind of humble in this fight. He said, he'd like to fight the other champions in the division, unify. He felt that the division needs one champion to find out who's the best, but, he didn't mention Adonis Stevenson. He didn't insult anybody else. He was very down to earth, and, sometimes a loss, or in this case 2 losses, is something that a fighter needs to get their head cleared. He was a little bit high on himself, and that showed in those fights against Andre Ward. So maybe this was the best thing that ever happened to Sergey Kovalev.
Hey Sal, sometimes if a fighter that's had a trainer for a long time, then all of a sudden changes trainers, which I've always been someone who thought that the trainer, especially with an experienced fighter, is that familiar voice, and I've always questioned why a fighter would make a change. But in Kovalev's case, and based on what Dax has just said about his demeanor and more positivity from him, do you think that the new trainer has given him that, has given him a fresh outlook, so to speak?
And yeah, and speaking, in favor of Kovalev and his new introduction or his comeback and his whole demeanor, I think that has a lot to do with a new trainer. It's like a new era for Kovalev on that level. And, maybe I read that Kovalev was tired of seeing his old trainer on his phone constantly texting. Well, guess what? I wouldn't have waited that long. If I saw my trainer, I said, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to train me, not go on your cell phone and do Facebook, whatever you got to do. So, however it got out of control, yeah, if this new trainer in the camp, or Kovalev's camp, can rein him in, could give him the attention, give him the kind of training outline and regimen and corrected the moves and behavior and fighting skills, then I think it's a great marriage. It's a great thing to see, and maybe this is a new era for Kovalev. And you know what, Kovalev, he showed that he's back on a big level. He's got his power. That never vanishes. And I would love to see him get all the belts. And then, you know what I would love even more? Next year, let Andre Ward announce his comeback and come back for Kovalev 3.
Hey, Dax, you know, it goes to show you that Sal is still using a flip phone and doesn't understand that everyone uses their phone for more than just texting and Facebook and stuff like that. So, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to use that.
Great, Bill.
No.
You know, if you're unhappy going to your camp and you're dreading that, how can you get mentally and physically prepared?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and that's the thing. You know, as far as Turnsim Palatov, you know, this is a guy that Kovalev picked because they spent a lot of time together up in Big Bear. You know, this wasn't a last minute thing. You know, they had became associated prior to. Then they decided to give this a go. You know, as Turnsim Palatov, you know, he's a very qualified trainer. You know, so this isn't a guy that, despite people not knowing him, that doesn't have a rich background in this sport. So if it doesn't work out here, then, you know, the blame would have to go on Kovalev. We've seen that happen in the past where a lot of guys go through a lot of trainers. You know, it can't always be the trainer.
No, and that's my point. My point is that, you know, you agree with a trainer. The question is this, you know, does a fighter constantly learn new things? Does a fighter, you know, get his base and then, you know, the trainer fine-tune it, et cetera, et cetera? And, you know, when you start to, you know, and I agree with you 100%. If you dread going to camp because you're not getting along or you're not, you know, connecting or clicking with your trainer, I agree 100%. You got to make a change. There's no question about that. But that really wasn't the case until he lost. And it seemed like he was looking for an excuse for anyone other than the guy he saw looking back at him in a mirror. And that's where my hang-up was, because John David Jackson, his demeanor is low-key, quiet, try to focus on certain things. I don't know. I guess time will tell. And unfortunately, not that I agree with Sal wanting to see Andre Ward back, but that would be the only telltale, you know, if he gets back in the ring with Andre Ward and he beats him.
Maybe he wasn't a bad trainer, just maybe, you know what, they just didn't mesh, that's all. Some guys just don't mesh.
That's
and
true.
As far as what you stated in guys training themselves, or do you get a trainer to fine-tune, you know, only guys, once they reach a certain degree, like a Bernard Hopkins, you know, he was pretty much his own trainer towards the end. He just somebody just helped him get into shape. You know, you don't have to teach him anything. And we don't have guys like Emmanuel Stewart around who can take somebody who's already accomplished a world champion, and no matter what they've done in the past, you can actually tweak them and make them better and make their style, you know, adapt to their physical body, whether or not it's their chin or whether or not it's their speed or whichever the case is. We just don't have trainers like that in the sport anymore.
No, we don't have. We have rah-rah men. We don't have teachers, and we've talked about that many times, and it is a shame. As far as the co-main event, Sullivan-Barrera, I thought that was an entertaining fight. I don't know if it proved anything. I mean, what did you see in that fight, Dax?
Well, first of all, what I seen is an opportunity for Sullivan-Barrera, should he have won, which he did, to either fight the winner of Kovalev and Shabransky or to fight Dmitry Bivol, is what I've seen and what I know. Yeah. But, especially since Sullivan-Barrera is the #1 ranked light heavyweight by the WBA. But anyway, as you know, it almost ended quick. I actually thought that Valera was going to upset Barrera in that first round. Remember, he dropped him there. As you stated earlier, Barrera has been down a lot of times. He wasn't really hurt. But, you know, I think maybe he might have underestimated Valera. Valera did go the distance with Dmitry Bivol, only because he's awkward. He just doesn't have that amateur pedigree to make him a refined fighter. As far as those low blows, when you watch the fight again, notice a lot of those times that was initiated and caused by Sullivan-Barrera pushing down on the head of Valera. Sullivan-Barrera, you know, after that first round knockdown, was a little punch shy, and I think that kind of hindered his performance. As far as Valera, you know, he's a guy that unless he gets with a trainer outside the Dominican Republic, he's not going to get any better. Barrera, and he's also, I've noticed in past fights, he will fight either up or competition. So would it be interesting to see what he does next? I think him and Kovalev would kind of fit that mold as we were speaking about with Andre Ward, because of Barrera being, you know, a boxer and able to frustrate a Kovalev. As far as Bivol would outbox Barrera, and Bivol would definitely knock Barrera out. So I think the WBO opportunity with Kovalev. Not only is that the best choice for Barrera, but it's probably the most lucrative for main events as a whole. So I'd expect we'd see that one first.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see that. They're both main event fighters. It's much easier for Kathy Duva to make that fight. And, the only thing I see with Barrera is he has been down several times. He can box, and he does get back up, obviously. But would he be able to get up if he, gets a solid punch landed on him from Kovalev? Or would he be smart in that fight and try to move and do similar to what Andre did to avoid the crusher?
Barrera does something that Andre Ward does. Not that he's the same quality of fighter, but he knows how to smother and he knows how to frustrate opponents. And we've seen Kovalev; he's a better boxer than give it credit for, but he doesn't like being smothered. He doesn't like that frustration on the inside. So it's a very good chance that he could just totally frustrate Kovalev. And I think he probably would fight smarter, avoid the power. He would go in there, he would smother the punches of Kovalev, and I could see Kovalev possibly losing a decision because Barrera, even though he's not a hard puncher, he's a physically strong fighter.
Who, Barrera?
Yes.
Yeah, he's bigger. The whole Bivol thing. I mean, I want to see Bivol fight, but I haven't really seen his boxing ability. I've seen his punching power, but isn't one of the only fights he went the distance in was against Valera?
Yes, and again, because Valera, he's an awkward guy, and Bivol did much like Barrera did, where he just didn't really know much about him, and he spent a lot of time doing what Barrera did, looking at these awkward movements and these attempted dancing and footwork and things like that of Valera. So it was just he's the type of guy at minimum will make you look bad, and plus he does have genuine world-class power, in my opinion. I've seen other fights of his before, so he's a guy that you don't want to rush in on, but then again, he's also a guy that will make you look bad, and his chin is pretty sturdy too.
Yeah. Okay, so I obviously gather that you disagreed with the outcome of the Gamboa Sosa fight, so give us your thoughts on that one.
I gave Gamboa rounds 1, 4, and 5. That's it. Sosa rounds 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7 and 10 were 10-8 rounds. Sosa's another one of those guys, with that limited, really no amateur background. But his will and his heart gets him through. Did he outbox Gamboa? Of course not. But he outfought Gamboa. He pressured Gamboa. Gamboa started getting sloppy in like the second or third round. By the sixth round, he was gassed. Yeah, he was landing one punches, single shots. But Sosa was landing those ripping shots to the body. And a lot of times we know that they don't impress the judges. Even if somebody wanted to score it for Gamboa, in no way could you have seen it 96, 92, and I think it was 90. 97, 96, 93 or something like that. It was almost 95, 93, 96, 92. I don't know what fight they were watching. Even HBO, one of the few times I took it off mute, I'm listening to those guys on there saying they pretty much had Sosa winning the fight, and then all of a sudden, once those scores were announced, they changed their tune. And I could see how people would have scored it for Gamboa. It's stop with that. Gamboa lost that fight. What they did was Gamboa is a name that's marketable enough to feed to another upcoming prospect, because a win over him looks better on paper than a win over Jason Sosa, and a loss to Gamboa looks better on paper than a loss to Jason Sosa. So that's why Gamboa won that fight. But Gamboa, the next time he steps up against somebody who has a little bit of better boxing ability and maybe not even a lot more power, Gamboa's going to get knocked out. He's done. He's finished. He was good in his day. He was his window was short, and Terrence Crawford pretty much Terrence Crawford ruined Yuri Gamboa for good.
Well, I mean, in that fight, Gamboa had to move up to. He's fighting out of his own weight class.
Of course he is, Bill. Here we go, HBO.
He is fighting out of his weight class, and I was pretty surprised to hear that you undid the mute button, because if you listen to them, I could see where everything was leaning towards Sosa. But if you did, when I listened to it with no sound, and I know you like to watch frame by frame by frame of all the fights, I didn't see Sosa, with the exception of being the aggressor, moving forward in their newfangled forward. They have a machine, a software now that tracks the forward.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh my God! I would love to see that, Matt. You know the way Sal calls Alex's magic computer machine that he punches it. You know, more commonly known as titled out championship game, but whatever. You know, I think that's what the guys at HBO did. You know, but I don't know, man. I admit I'm a Gamboa fan, and I don't see that same fighter that we saw when he first hit the scene. But I also see a guy that's forced to fight outside of his weight class too. I really do.
You know, you also sat right there next to me, Bill, with some obnoxious idiot yelling in our ear for 10 rounds when Gamboa was pretty much did everything he could just to beat a Highland Williams Jr. So.
Yeah, and I was also ringside when he quit, you know, so, I mean, you know.
That I'll never forget.
Yeah, but...
and Ron Lipton, you know, just to address that real quick, you know, they criticized Ron Lipton for that point deduction in round 10. I had somebody who even argued with me saying, well, he knew how much time was left in the round. Why would he do that? Number one, no, you don't realize how much left is in that round. Even if you're watching a fight live and you're there, unless you're paying attention or above, or especially if you're covering a fight where you're up on the apron, you don't realize there's only a minute or 30 seconds left, and especially inside that ring. But Ron Lipton, not only did he let a few headbutts go, but, you know, he had warned Yuriorkis Gamboa a lot of times. He had no choice but to sit there and take that point away, or else it was kind of going to undermine his authority. You know, we see a lot of referees who just go in there and they continuously warn guys, but they never do take the point, and then they're criticized for that. You know, it really didn't matter either way at the end of the score. At the end of the fight, we know how the scores went, but, you know, Ron Lipton was sort of in a position where, you know, he had to take that point away. If there was going to be criticism, the only criticism I could possibly give him is, you know what, you should have did that in the 9th round.
Exactly. Listen, Ron did it, in my opinion, Ron did a great job. He stayed out of the camera shot. He didn't interfere. For the most part, he let the guys fight, and it's what and he took command of the fight. And these are all the things I want a referee to do. My hang-up was that I didn't think that the holding was as extensive as he made it. Then when Gamboa wasn't responding to him, I think he took it more personal, and then...
Well, that's it. That's it. You're told something. You're told to break. You break. You don't wait 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. You let that go a couple times. You don't continuously do that. Now you're undermining the authority of the referee.
But he didn't say break all the other times. When he said break in the first several rounds, the two fighters broke. You know, then he warned them for holding. And, you know, he warned them again and again, and then he took the point away. I get it. I understand. But I think that in that last round, you know, and I agree with you, he should have taken the point away prior to the last round. That last round, and quite honestly, Sosa was holding 2 from the 8th round on. They were both holding. Unlike the other fight with Ortega, who kept saying, I'm going to DQ you for the low blows, and he didn't. You know, so, yeah, it's a catch-22. I think, for the most part, you know, Harvey Dock, for his 2 rounds, did a great job. Ron did a great job. I just disagree with the point deduction in the final round. That's it. That's my only opinion about that. And that knockdown, even though a punch did get thrown, it was more of an off-balance thing. But anyway.
Well, there again, that reinforces what I'm saying. You know, if you're going down, you're off balance and all this other, you know, something that's another reason why I'm saying to myself, you know what, you weren't yourself in there. You're falling down, you're slipping, and you're not looking sensational afterwards. It's not like it was a Prince Nassim Hamed where he get knocked down, he gets up, and he was just dominating the rest of the round.
Hey,
definitely you can see the age and the ring wear and tear on Gamboa has caught up with him. Sosa was the stronger, more effective, aggressive fighter, even if he didn't land the flashier punches.
Dax, we got 30 seconds for you, and we got to go. My question to you, I got to know what your thoughts are on Manuel Char being now the regular WBA World Heavyweight Champion over his win over Alexander Ustinov, and now, and we've talked about this many times, fights a guy who hasn't stepped foot in the ring for over 3 years in Fresno.
It's the WBA, you know. What more can you say? This is probably just a way to finally get Fres Kendo Speaking of the WBA, later on this week, Bill, I sent you an email about that. We're going to talk about them, hopefully, and speak about, the events that led to the death of 24-year-old Francisco Ruiz on the undercard of a WBA world title fight when he faced Ricardo Cortez in San Salvador, and how an inept commission, a major sanctioning body, which is the WBA, along with an inexperienced corner, was solely responsible for the death of this kid. So much to the point that WBC President Mauricio Suleiman, who's guilty of a lot of things himself, actually publicly stated, it's shameless to those who sanction such a fight, and they're going to have to live forever with the blood on their hands. And that is true. They're 100% responsible for the death of this kid. And when we get down into seeing that, people can understand exactly what happened. And just inside this year, how they allowed this kid to fight from bantamweight to super middleweight inside 4 fights. And just a month ago, he was fighting 2 divisions lower, and then they sanctioned him to be in this fight.
Crazy stuff, Dax. I appreciate your thoughts on the fights, and we'll look forward to you later in the week, my man.
All right, everybody, enjoy your day.
That's Dax Khan. You can check out his column up on BillyCBoxing.com. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, we got we got our trivia question, but we also got an update on Triple G. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget, we're in our holiday schedule. Yeah, the holidays are right here among us right now. It's in this room. It's right here. It's the holidays. But the truth of the matter is we are in our holiday schedule right now. So make sure you check with with the show to find out what days we're here and what days we're not. This week, we will not be here on Thursday, but we will be here the rest of the week, and we'll keep you posted each week when the show starts. And then, obviously, after the holidays and the first of the year, we'll be introducing some new segments, and we'll be back 100%. But right now, I want to remind everybody to make sure they tune in not only tomorrow for when we talk about some issues about, give you an update on Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker, as well as some really intriguing points that my man Mitch made in an email that I glanced through and decided to read tomorrow. Don't forget, Wednesday, Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazzard will join us. And this week's Blast from the Past that Alex Papali will present, as per request by one of you guys, one of users, is Diego Corrales. And, you know, it's surprising, Sal, that Diego Corrales, who to me seems like a fighter that was just fighting a couple of years ago, was being requested as a blast from the past. I mean, man, does time fly or what?
It does. I don't have to tell you that. You know that as much as I do.
Well, you're way older than me, Sal. Come on, man. Stop.
No, I'm not. I'm not way.
Hey, listen. Before a few days, I'll tell you, you still got me thinking. Hey, I will tell you this. You still got me really thinking about the breakfast pizza. Just want you to. I almost tried to make one. But
and I'm going to serve it to you. Pal.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. Hey, you know, I have my idea. Next Thanksgiving, you know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to make a turkey pizza. I'm going to get turkey meat, and I'm going to put on the cheese. I'm going to use my famous garlic butter olive oil sauce instead of the tomato sauce.
Turkey and pizza.
You know, I'm not going to tell my recipe.
Yeah, don't tell your recipe. And not only turkey and pizza and chicken and pizza just doesn't sound right to me. But for some reason, the eggs do. That's because what Italian doesn't like peppers and eggs? Hey, what are you having for dinner? Peppers and eggs. Oh, yeah, all right. You know,
right.
You know,
sausage, pepper, and eggs.
Yeah, there you go.
And onions.
That's good too. Exactly. You might as well have a sandwich, except just hold the bread. But anyway, I just wanted to give everybody an update on Triple G over the last week. Triple G visited Mexico, and we all know that Triple G fought Canelo Alvarez, and it was Triple G against Mexico, and Triple G. I mean, Alvarez has said lots of things. Us Mexicans don't F around, all this stuff, right? Well, I found it pretty interesting, and well, I'll just tell you this. Triple G and his team, specifically Abel Sanchez and his promoter, Tom Loeffler, traveled to Mexico, and they were at the NFL football game between the Raiders and the Patriots. And that game had 100,000 people at Azteca Stadium. Wow. And they introduced Triple G. And Triple G was treated as a hero to the Mexicans at the stadium. As a matter of fact, 100,000 fans gave him a standing ovation, Sal, and were chanting Triple G, Triple G. If that doesn't show you that the Mexican boxing fans, whether they're Mexicans or American Mexicans, don't love and respect the sport of boxing, I don't know what else does. To me, that must have been a chilling experience. As a matter of fact, both Abel Sanchez and Tom Loeffler joined Triple G in saying that it was one of the most chilling and rewarding experiences they ever witnessed. And I just wanted to mention that because it goes to show you that the Mexican boxing fans, they respect the sport of boxing more than just who's fighting. And to me, that means more than anything else. What's your quick thoughts on that?
I'm smiling because I think that it's a class act. It's great. And, to feel that and to be a part of that and to stimulate that kind of response from true boxing fans. I mean, especially in the home country of your last opponent, especially after a controversial decision. You could take it however you want it, but as you suggested, it was out of respect for the sport of boxing and for the respect of the warrior that Triple G resembles when he steps into the ring.
True. Good point. we have a trivia question that's alive and well. And if you're the first one to get this correctly, by emailing me, Billy at Talkin' Boxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. You'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. The same simulation game that Alex Papali uses for our Blast from the Past, and the same game that Sal Rocky Cenicola refers to as his magic boxing box, or whatever the hell you do. Machine, right. So if you get this question right, make sure you're the first one to email. You have to email me because that's how we distinguish the winners. We go by the timestamp. And here's the question. Name the boxer who fought the most fights from the start of his career before being defeated by a stoppage. Now, this stoppage could have been a TKO or a knockout. So that's a little hint for you. Name the boxer who fought the most fights from the start of his career before being defeated by stoppage. Not only do I want the name of the guy, but I want the number of fights, because that in itself is pretty impressive. So if you're the first one to email me the boxer's name and how many fights he had from the most fights from the start of his career before being stopped, either by knockout or TKO, email me, Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. You will win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. It's a tough one. And, this is actually, I'll give everybody a hint, this is actually a retread of a question. So if you want to go back and play the shows from the last 14 years to try and find the answer, go ahead, because you will find it among those many, many shows we've done, Sal. So I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, on this day, November 27th, in boxing history, a lot of stuff happened. In 1989, Robert Daniels wins a 12-round decision over Dwight Muhammad Quayi to win the vacant WBA World Cruiserweight title, and that took place in France. On this day in 1987, Donnie Lalonde knocks out Eddie Davis in the second round to win the vacant WBC World Light Heavyweight title, and that took place in Trinidad. That would be the same title that Sugar Ray Leonard would eventually win. On this day in 2004, Marco Antonio Barrera wins a 12-round decision over Eric Morales to win the WBC World Junior Lightweight title. It took place in Vegas. And we're always talking about having the right dance partner to catapult you into all-time greatness. Well, Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales certainly were perfect dance partners for each other, because we got to see some epic fights between those two. On this day in 1983, Payano Puntarat wins a 12-round decision over Rafael Orino to win the WBC World Junior Bantamweight title, and that took place in Thailand. On this day in 1935, I mentioned his name earlier, Henry Armstrong wins a 10-round decision over Midget Wolgast in their bout in Oakland, California. Hammer and Hank improved to 40 wins, 8 losses, and 7 draws on this day in 1935. And finally, on this day, November 27th in 1964, Eder Joffrey knocks out Bernardo Caraballo in the 7th round to retain his WBC and WBA World Bantamweight titles, and that took place in Colombia. Caraballo loses for the first time in his career, dropping to 39 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. We have a busy show scheduled for you tomorrow. So before we go, I'll leave you with this. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.